Apprentices and acolytes, your boy got Tales of Light and Life for the High Republic early, and I have to go over it because I feel like after everything that High Republic has been through, this is giving me a lot of excitement. This most recent phase of the High Republic hasn't really been getting me as hype as the first one, and it's not like the newest phase is bad, it's just I was so excited with the first installment, right? I'm introduced to the big three of Jedi in the High Republic, which is Avar Kriss, Stellan Gios, and Elzar Mann, the myth, the legend, man. I wasn't really as attracted or excited about the Nihil, but I really liked the Drengir, and I liked a lot of the other stories that were happening in that first phase. And then now we have this second wave, this second phase, and you know, it's fine. I think it's okay. The two books that I really liked the most in this phase was probably Path of Deceit and Path of Vengeance. Of course, Cavan Scott comes off strong, like always. I'm always fearing for my life anytime he's attached to a book in Star Wars, but his writing is phenomenal. He knows how to get me as a person, and I think that's because I just am a huge Legends enthusiast, and he's a really big Darth Bane fan, and I saw a lot of that similarities, those attributes from Path of Destruction, the Darth Bane trilogy, in his writing, and I think that's why I like his writing the most. This is kind of an all-star cast for this book. You got Tessa Grant, Claudia Gray, Justina Ireland, Lydia Kang, George Mann, Daniel Jose, Cavan Scott, Charles Saul. I mean, like, the list goes on, and just about every single one of these stories hits, and not everyone like slapped me in the face and made me feel awesome. There's a story about Vernestra Rwoh, and I loved that character so much when she was first introduced, and still to this day, and I haven't really read anything on her since the last book that she was in, and she's still a phenomenal character. I'm still wanting to know how this character is going to progress, what's going on, and although I can say that she's not really a main character yet, but you can see now that they're definitely trying to create something from her. But then, of course, like characters like Bel Zettifar, because of the way he was introduced in Light of the Jedi and how he was continuously fleshed out in The Rising Storm. And I think that's where the High Republic's strength is in that first phase, where a lot of those characters are from. But even with characters that I didn't really like or I didn't really care to understand, like Marta Rowe and the mother, and her story in this book actually makes me like her a little bit more. It made me more interested in it. And I think that's where the High Republic had struggled in this most recent phase. And I'm not sure whether or not it's so popular with everybody else. I just know about my personal feelings and what my interest in. And I could definitely say, dude, Tales of Light and Life is freaking phenomenal, and I think everybody needs it, especially if you're a fan of the High Republic, because now we're seeing where this is going. There are just too many stories that you just can't miss out on. I feel like this is probably the most necessary reading that we've gotten since the first phase of the High Republic. And the High Republic, I feel like at times can be complicated to really figure out what's happening because there is a lot of media. You know, you have, the adult novels, you have the young adult novels, you have the young reader books, you also have the comics, and the comics kind of stray with so many different characters. But I think now that they're getting back on track and they're trying to connect everything else, not just from the past and Marta Rowe and of course the Nameless, but now you're getting to see what's going on, what's the connection with Marchion Rowe and everything else and the Leveler. And that's where a lot of the strength is. That's where the story is. That's where the interesting fun facts are for a lot of Star Wars, man, because I love this era. It's not as fun for me as like the New Republic, of course, or the Old Republic, but I think the High Republic is a fantastic era of Star Wars that really started to distinguish itself from the rest of Star Wars, not just because of the expression that we see, but also because of the characters, the way they explore the Force that's so different from all the other eras of Star Wars. And you see a lot of these characters, and there's so many characters in the High Republic, like you literally need like flashcards or trading cards to really understand all these different characters, but you start to see when the stories start fleshing out, they gonna die, or as someone like me, I don't like to see characters just killed off for the sake of killing off characters, and I do think the High Republic has done that quite a bit, but you can still see that there is purpose in a lot of these characters going forward, and the main characters that I want to see more of. And I think that a book like this not just puts a lot more value into the entire story arc of the High Republic, starting from Marta Row in the beginning, all the way up to Marchion Row in the first wave of High Republic, but also, characters' deaths like Stellan Geos, things like the destruction of Starlight Beacon. All these things coexist and they also amplify each other. And I think that's where Star Wars does it best. You have Clone Wars, the animated series, how much that does for the prequel trilogy. And I think that this book also helps the newest phase and also the first phase of Star Wars: The High Republic. You need to get this book. If you can't get it, please go on Audible, get that free trial, download that token, and buy that token for this book so you guys can listen to the audiobook. But that's it, fam. Let me know what you think about this story. I would love to know the characters that you've enjoyed and the short stories that you enjoyed in Tales of Light and Life. I'm Lord Dagovere, fam, and I hope you subscribe for more Star Wars content. Deuces.